And you're thinking, wow. And this is the Supreme Court of Canada and all the appellate courts across, and which in Canada, they're all bank lawyers because they're appointed by bank lawyers. See, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, spent 2 years on the board of directors being groomed in 1981, 2, and 3. Then he steps down in 1983. He's financed by his co-director, is a very well-financed election campaign for the Conservatives. In the election of September 1984, he becomes prime minister. And for the next 8 years, he directly appoints nothing but high-powered Bay Street bank lawyers and similar types to the courts all across the country. What I want to do now is go to the Rogers one.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that.
Because that's the one that'll really maybe make it most understandable.
Okay.
In 1994, Ted Rogers took over McLean Hunter, the cable TV all across the country.
Okay.
We've got Shaw and we've got Rogers, I think now, but yes. Half of them were formerly known as McLean Hunter, and it was. And the 4 banks involved, the 4 chartered banks that have agreed to lend Rogers Communications $2.15 billion to finance the takeover, will walk away the biggest winners from the deal, according to an offering circular sent to their shareholders late Monday. Okay, the banks and brokers backing Ted Rogers' bid to McLean Hunter Limited stand to skim off almost $90 million in fees. Okay. So their loan fee, their separate charge for making the loan, is like, in other words, the bankers are going to get a free ride for 25 years, and they're going to charge you $90 million for the privilege of handing all your assets over to the bank, and in exchange for the bank's agreement that it owes you $2.1 billion. See, so now the bank agrees that it owes them $2.1 billion. They write a check. It's endorsed by the existing owners. And now everything, the entire cable company is now owned by the banks. Mm-hmm. Now there's bonding in there as well. The difference between a bond and a bank loan is that under a bonding thing, you still legally own the assets, but you can't pledge them for any other thing. It's a little more stuff, but it's the same result. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that $90 million that they added to that $2.1 billion loan will push the cable company is going to make a certain monthly payment for 25 years to pay off that so-called loan, mm-hmm. which is really credit reinsurance, but we'll just pretend it's actually money lending for the time being, just to show the effect of the loan fees. Right. Now, that $90 million, based on that payment that is actually going to be made by the cable company every month for 25 years, if you take that $90 million away, then the same loan is paid off in 20.5 years instead of 25 years. And that extra 4.5 years of payments, which result solely from the illegal front loading and conversion of interest in advance, is going to add $1.2 billion to the total cost of credit. Mm. Okay, so now not only does the bankers and the lawyers get a $90 million party fund for nothing up front, they're going to charge you $1.2 billion of interest on it over 25 years.
Good times.
Yeah, woohoo! Let's go. Yeah. So then they go to the government, to CRTC, the Canadian Radio and the regulators, and they say, well, we've got all these expenses. We need an increase in cable rates to cover this. And so the end result is that, in effect, for 25 years, from 1994 to 2019, a quarter of everyone's monthly cable bill will have gone to pay the bankers interest on the $90 million illegal party fund that they created for themselves, the brokers and the lawyers, from the nominal illegally inflated / front-loaded proceeds on the day of the deal. See? And then over that same trailing 25-year period, the extra $1.2 billion of juiced income as earned interest income, or deemed pretended equity, on their income statements and balance sheets will in turn have supported an additional credit assets expansion of at least 20 to 1 or $24 billion. In practice, the combined cross-leverage ratio over 25 years will have been about 250 to 1. This ability to get away with it, decision of the Supreme Court in 1990 was that, yeah, there's no question that the banks and the creditors are all violating the criminal law, this interest in advance. Now, the Supreme Court of Canada unanimously endorsed the unanimous decision of the Ontario Court of Appeal that though what the creditor had done was technically criminal and actually criminal and racketeering, it was not fundamentally illegal, because the criminal law only says you will be severely punished if you do this, but it doesn't otherwise expressly state don't do it.
This is an amazing point. Actually,
Yeah, this
right?
is
That it
now,
comes with punishment, but you can do it.
it's just illegal by statute. There's nothing morally wrong with it.
Yeah.
But if you look at the actual history dating back to the 1700s, it comes up repeatedly. No interest in advance, no interest in advance, no interest in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, well, we don't understand. We're bankers. We never occurred to us that interest in advance, there might be something wrong with that. It's a common practice in the industry.
Right.
You see, and you can't question industry practice. This is what we say. But anyways, that decision of the Supreme Court of Canada that allowed for it has cost Canadians in the ensuing 30-year period over $10 trillion, about $1 million per household.
Right.
That rolls over. Because remember, the 20-to-1 is in the financial markets. You never see it because it's their assets. Anyways, the point is that all this wealth, all of this capacity is being rolled over directly onto their balance sheets. It never shows up as current taxable income, so they don't pay any taxes on it.